Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 26, 2021 at approximately 8:20 a.m. PST. I was doing a lot of thinking yesterday, and it is amazing how many people are caught up in the whole concept of fear. Okay, I know I talked about this the other day, but it really hit home the other day. It really hit home yesterday, where even people that you would think, that claim to be standing in the right line, they claim to be working on behalf of people, on working towards people's benefit, but they are driven so badly by fear that they're clouding their own judgment. Now, of course, in all fairness, this is my own personal outlook. Okay, but what people have to realize is you've got two emotions. Okay, you've got fear and you've got love. It's your choice which one you choose. Personally, I do my best to choose love. Do I respond in fear? Yes, absolutely. But here's the thing. Fear leads to conflict. Fear leads to war. Love leads into cooperation and peace. Okay. Personally, given the two options, I choose peace. And I remember Mother Teresa was invited to come to some anti-war rallies. And the way she put it was, I will never attend an anti-war party, ever. Now, if anybody knows anything about Mother Teresa, she was always in the thick of helping people. Now, the follow-up to that comment was, she goes, I will never attend an anti-war rally. However, she says, you want to have a peace rally, I will be there right at the front of the line. Okay, I'm of the same opinion. Okay, do I like war? Not in the slightest. Do I feel it is likely a likely outcome given the way things are going and the amount of people that are focusing on fear and focusing on conquering other people? Okay, personally, I don't even look at conquering my own fear. I simply look at redirecting the energy so it doesn't affect me as badly. Okay, now, I've mentioned before, quite frequently really, that the trick to getting rid of to overriding fear and that sort of thing is redirecting the energy. Now, if you know anything about Feng Shui, okay, the books that are written are great, okay, and they apply very nicely to Eastern philosophy. The only flaw with them, where it comes to Western philosophy, is the entire Eastern culture seems to be primarily laid out, primarily designed with Feng Shui in place. So buildings are already built that way. However, the principle of Feng Shui, redirection of energy, okay, or transmutation of energy, is very real. Which is why I start off in my office, because this is where I work, and the good news there is I work in this section. The other computer I will theoretically be getting back tomorrow. I had some old computers sitting up here. They're being emptied. I'm getting the data off them, and with a little bit of luck, there was another book that I'd written that will be on there. If it is, that is great, because that one is ready to go to print then. If it is there. I don't know if it is. But I am now starting to go through old files and what have you. But, like I said, the trick with getting anything moving right is pick the direction you're heading in. Okay? Figure out what you're not content with and remove that. You don't even actually have to choose what direction, so much as remove the obstacles that are are ineffective. Now, in my case, again, I do not understand this personally. I'm overheating again. I've yet to figure that one out, but what the heck? It really can't be that hot, I don't think. But where the heck did I put it? There it is. Forgot to plug my phone in. Anyway, so many people are focused on fear that they are completely missing the options. Okay. Yeah, temperature here is what? Temperature is, wow, a whopping 16 degrees Celsius. Okay. Which means, and I don't really know, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, 16 degrees Celsius is not enough to be overheating, but seems to be the way it's working. Now, somebody told me at one point that what my overheating may be is just my metabolism is really kicking in, which would be nice. I'm still dry. I don't know what my weight's sitting at, but I keep getting sidetracked here. Let's get back to the issue of fear. Okay, if you're focusing on the news that's out there, there is so much going on that people are going, when we look at the regular news, people are constantly going, when is World War III going to start? When is this illness going to get dealt with? When are they going to release the cure for cancer, etc., etc.? People are so caught up in the fear and in somebody else is in control that people on the whole are not looking in the mirror at their own culpability. Now, if I don't take control of my life, how can I possibly guide somebody else? Well, the reality is it's easier to see things from outside of a situation than it is from inside it. This is why I tell people I am not perfect. Now, if you like our video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit the little alert button to make sure you get the reminder that the newest video is coming up, because I do try and get these out once a day, at least once a day. I've got a few of them I actually have been putting off because I get the one done, then I've got to do a bunch of running around, and by the time I get back, I'm in the middle of work. Well, unfortunately, trying to do a video, and you've seen me do it before, trying to do record a video while I'm on shift can get complicated. I may end up doing that tonight anyway, just because I want to get them done. More to the point, I desire to get them done. Wanting creates its own problem. But you have a choice. Are you going to continue living your life complaining to yourself? Never mind complaining to anybody else. Complaining to yourself that your life is not going well. Or are you going to get down to the act of literally redirecting where you're going? In my case, I'm redirecting things. Now, I've got this side of my office all sorted out. Okay. When I get done, what I'm doing here is just making sure I've got a nice long list to carry on with. Okay, now I tell you, put 3 things on the list. Well, I've never done anything in a small fashion, and this is why I say my methods, yes, they work, but keep it inside your own parameters. Three tasks, and remember, the karmic laws are the critical factor. Be true to yourself, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, and energy out, energy in. Now, most people are focusing on this funny little thing called fear. You watch the news, and this is where the conflict is. Here's where all the starving people are. Okay, and that's bad enough. But what I'm also finding in my field, which on top of consulting people on personal things and on business, I deal with alien interactions, okay, alien technologies. And even in that field, I find so many people are going, the off-worlders are here to protect us. The off-worlders are here to invade us. In other words, let's either point the finger and say they're going to take care of our own mess, or they're going to come in and kill us. Okay, and they're fighting over who gets the right to do it. Again, we're focusing on the issue of who's in conflict. You've got to wake up and quit looking at who's in conflict with who. There are conflicts, but focus on who is getting along with who. Okay, as for trying to figure out why people are doing things, there is so many different reasons for it. And a lot of it has to do with you're taught right from a very small age to fear. And sad to say, if you think about it, if you go to church, you're taught to, in church, temple, whatever, you're taught to fear the higher entity. if you're one of these people that doesn't believe in a higher power or doesn't worship God or whatever, if you simply live in the material world, then so many people I see literally run their lives based on fear. They tell their kids, you do this or else. Okay. People are taught from a very small age, do what I say or you're going to be punished. You might want to consider do what I suggest and you're likely to get, and you may get a reward. Worst case scenario, they do what you suggest, they learn to become self-sufficient, and away you go. Okay, the choice is yours, which way you're going to focus things. Are you going to focus on trying to scare the people around you or bully the people around you into doing what you suggest? Or are you going to point out the benefits and encourage them to experience it so they can get the benefits for themselves? Now, I've mentioned before, doesn't matter how much guidance you get, doesn't matter who you talk to, doesn't matter what you're learning. Okay, if you don't use the tools offered to you, you're not going to get the job done. Or at least you're not going to get it done in a different way. Okay, and the reality behind it is this. The only person on the planet that can be successful for you is you. The only person in existence that can alter your thinking. Okay, you can be coerced, you can be shown how to do it, but the only person that ultimately can change your focus is you. So, the question you have to ask is, are you going to continue looking at who is afraid of who, or who are you fearing, who are you, they call it pranking. I call pranking more often than not bullying, because the only person that usually gets benefit out of it is the person doing the prank. Okay, or taking that embarrassing shot, that embarrassing photo and posting it all over the neighborhood. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Take a look at the pictures that you're taking and ask yourself, if I were doing that, oh, sheep. Well, sorry about that. Got hit with a sudden dizzy spell and figured I better deal with that before I had a problem. Anyway, like I said, I think I was saying, now I lost track of where I was, but that's okay, I'll re-find it. Anyway, you have a choice. See, the reality is, it doesn't matter who gives you what tool. If you don't pick that tool up, you're not going to be able to do it. And the only person that can choose to change the direction your life is going in is you. You can be shown all the information in the world. But I will tell you this. When we start showing information, as in our sample group says this, okay, and this is exactly, in my eyes, the biggest problem of all where it comes to statistics. I've mentioned that people are dwelling on fear. Okay, now if that is the case, if you're looking at dwelling on fear, you can take a statistic. Now, to be clear, I can take a coin. Let's get a slightly bigger one so I don't actually drop it. Okay, I can take a coin. Okay, now watch this. I'm going to flip the thing and it's going to end up being, and it's going to end up landing on the floor. So what I'll do is, normally if you take a coin and you flip it, okay, normally it'll either land heads up or tails up. Now, statistically speaking, I can prove, taking a sample group, that if you flip a coin, and I've seen it happen, you flip a coin and it'll land on its edge. It'll land this way and stay there. Now, the odds of it happening are very, very, very tiny. Okay, now let's just give you, and I've got no idea what the actual odds are, but let's say it takes you 30,000 flips to flip that coin and get it to land on its edge. Let's just say it's 100,000. Okay, one flip lands on the edge and stays there. That's 1 in 100,000. That is a tiny, I don't know, I think that's 0.001% of a chance to actually make it happen. Now, that said, if I tell you the odds of that happening are 1 in 100,000, that's one thing. Okay, but if I tell you taking a sample group, okay, out of that 100,000, I take a sample group, and all I tell you is in our sample group, 100% of the time when you flip a coin, it'll land on its edge. How do I pull that off? That's easy. My sample group, I take that one item. Okay, now, toothpaste is an obvious commercial that everybody knows about. If you take the commercials that go, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend this brand of toothpaste, that sounds like 80%. Okay, until you realize they had to ask 100 different dentists to get those 4. Now 4 out of 5 dentists. So we'll take the 4 that said yes and the 1 that said no. And we'll say 4 out of 5 dentists recommend this toothpaste. Now all of a sudden, when you realize where it came from, you're down to 4%. Okay, now it's more realistic from the general populace to say it doesn't happen all the time, because maybe that toothpaste was recommended and you personally don't like it. Now, here's the other issue. You can take a look at, and this is where fear comes in. Now, that's marketing. Doesn't matter what statistic. Okay, but here's where marketing and fear come hand in hand. Okay. If you take a look at people skydiving. Now, people skydive all the time. Okay, and let's just say we're looking at, again, 100,000 people. Right. And you say, you're trying to say it's safe. So you go, you watch 100,000 people skydive. Okay, over time probably. And all but 10 of them land safely. But 10 out of that 100,000 have terrible accidents. Okay. Now, you can take those. Okay, you can take that statistic and you can go, 90% of the time it's perfect, 0.9% of the time or whatever, it's perfectly safe. Okay, because, all but 10 of them landed. So let's just go with 100 people. Okay, that way I can do the math up here, because obviously my brain is not working well. You get 100 people and 10 of them have an accident. So you go 90% of the 90 out of 100 people land safely. So it is risky, so be careful. Or you can take 9 of those people that landed and had an accident, and you can do it 2 ways. You take those 9 people, right? 9 out of 100 had an accident. So you go 91% of the time you jump, there's no problem. So it's safe. You've got to be cautious, but it's safe. But if you're trying to drive people into fear away from skydiving, you take those 9 and you take a 10th one, okay, one that landed safely, and you go, of our parachutists surveyed, 9 out of 10 of them had a severe accident. Okay, now that's great for adrenaline junkies, or the people that go, it's not going to happen to me. But you've now gone from 9% having an accident to 90%. Okay, or you can go the flip side and take 10 people that landed safely, or 9 people that landed safely, and only 1 that had an accident. You can go, 90% of the people we surveyed landed safely. Okay, the same thing applies with any trial, any medication you're doing, any product you're trying to serve, okay, that you're trying to market. If you base it on fear, you can point out all the bad things, okay, and you can tell people all these things are wrong. Now, you can focus on that, Okay. Or you can focus on the things that are right. The choice as to whether you're going to choose fear to live by or peace is up to you. This is where that neat little thing called freedom of choice is. Now, do I sense things coming that are complicated? You bet. But I'm also a firm believer that 90 to 95% of you are decent people genuinely trying to help things. Okay, but ask yourself, the path you're on trying to do that, are you focusing on the fear of it? Are we being invaded? Is there going to be World War III? When's the next sniper going to attack? Are you focusing on that side of it? Or are you, like I've seen a lot of people, if I don't behave absolutely perfectly, I'm going to hell? Okay, bad news. Okay, there's a whole lot of bad news that goes with that one, but we're not going to get into it right now. But the issue for you is this. Are you going to look at what you're accomplishing? Like, I could look at me, and I could go, 6 months ago, I was 246 pounds. Now, I can look at that and go, I am so disgusted with myself, right? Or I could go, I'm down to somewhere around 210. I haven't actually checked myself in the last week, so I don't know. But I've got to do that this week. Okay. But you can look at what you have accomplished. For instance, I finally got my computer into the shop, and I should be getting it back tomorrow. I won't be getting it back today because the guy that does the repairs is off for the day. Amazingly, he gets a day off too. But you've got to decide, are you going to live in fear? Are you going to continue pointing fingers at other people? And are you going to continue putting yourself on a pedestal and say, I'm doing such a much better job than you, that makes me better than you? Here's the reality behind it. There's not a one of you out there, myself included, that is better than the next person. You may be better at something. Lord knows if you're playing baseball, you don't want me playing baseball. Okay, or golf for that matter. I remember the only time I tried playing an actual game of golf. It took me 5 strokes to tee off. I couldn't get the golf club to hit the ball. Now, yeah, it was my fault. It wasn't like the golf club wasn't doing what I was telling it to. But, as it turned out, that wasn't a good game for me anyway, given the bad leg. But you have a choice. You can either look at what you're doing wrong. Now, some of you have these hobbies or these goals that you had, and you ran into a roadblock. You stalled. Okay, now there is one person in particular who this is directed at. They'll know who it is. They happen to be very close to somebody that was writing. Okay, but here's where they ran into a roadblock. Okay, that roadblock was this. They got a story put together. I have no idea what the story is. Well, that's not entirely true. I just don't know much about it. Okay, but I will tell you, they wrote the story. They were really gung-ho on getting it published. And then somebody else turned around and said, that's not good enough. That's the wrong length. Well, much as I appreciate a professional's input, okay, understand they are not the only people out there. And much more importantly, especially to this particular author, okay, something to keep in mind. And this is very definitively directed to you. You've got a story written. Okay, you've got a dream of becoming an author. There are ways out there to get that story published. Do not let somebody tell you that your story is too long for that genre. Okay, let's just assume for a moment it is too long for that genre. So call it a different genre or just don't call it anything. Let somebody else decide. The novels that I'm writing, I classify as science fiction, science fantasy. People can call them a children's story if you'd like. Mind you, I will caution you on that one. If you're thinking of calling the Yldrbacian Chronicles, which is what I'm writing, if you're thinking of calling it a children's story, you might want to take a look at the Grimm brothers, who used to call those children's stories too. But if you know anything about the Grimm brothers, okay, from way back, I think they were in the 1800s, they wrote stories that were phenomenal, and they called them children's stories. I'll tell you, children's stories like that would have made Stephen King cringe. Which gives you an idea of exactly why I don't call the Yldrbac Chronicles a children's story. But to this one particular author, and many of you may fall into the same category. You wrote a story and you got to a certain point and then somebody said you aren't going to do it. Right, very important that you pay attention to this one for your own sake. You've got a dream of becoming an author. You've got the story already written. Okay. Now, I will tell you, if you've got questions for more specific direction to you, drop me a line at one of the contact points below this video. Now, this particular person I know has direct contact with me because I've been in touch with somebody connected to them. Okay, but drop me a private line, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. But you've got the story already written. Now you can live with the idea of that person's right and I don't have the talent, and you can live with that fear and therefore stop where you are. You do have that choice. But as I've told people before, you've got a dream in your mind. You've got a goal that you'd like to be it writing, be it acting, be it becoming a musician, becoming a superstar in any form, an athlete, doesn't matter. You've got a dream. Do not let other people tell you it cannot be attained. Absolutely understand the odds are, like, it's not many people in these fields that make it big. There's a lot of athletes that never get to the NFL, or to the CFL for that matter, or the NHL. There's a lot of athletes that play these sports and never get that good. Okay, but do not give up on your dreams. Very important for you. Now, on that note, I'm going to tie this off because I got a lot of other things I got to get done today, and I do keep these to the half-hour mark. So, I will come back tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.